January didn't change you. It only gave you a cleaner page to lie to yourself on. Right now, somewhere between yesterday and today, you already felt it, that quiet drop in energy after the countdown, after the noise, after the promises. The calendar moved, the pressure stayed. You woke up the same person with the same habits, the same thoughts, the same excuses, just wrapped in a new date. And this moment matters more than motivation ever will, because this is where most people begin lying to themselves again. They say, "I'll start soon." They say, "There's still time." But time doesn't care about intention. Time only responds to action. And the uncomfortable truth is this: most people don't fail because they lack discipline. They fail because they keep postponing honesty. They avoid the mirror. They avoid the silence. They avoid the realization that nothing external is holding them back. The year didn't reset you. It exposed you. There's a pattern almost no one talks about. Every year starts with energy, plans, and hope, and ends with regret, disguised as lessons. The cycle is invisible because it feels normal. Motivation rises, effort spikes briefly, resistance appears, and then comfort takes over. Days pass quietly, weeks blend together, and suddenly, the same distance exists between who you are and who you wanted to become. This isn't because you're weak, it's because you're familiar with delay. You've trained yourself to believe that urgency is optional, that growth can wait, that pressure will arrive later. But it never does. Pressure doesn't arrive. It's created. And people who change don't feel more ready than you. They simply stop negotiating with themselves. They stop waiting for alignment, confidence, or permission. They understand that the cost of staying the same is paid daily, silently, without headlines or warnings. Look closely at your life, and you'll notice something uncomfortable. Nothing dramatic is stopping you. No collapse, no catastrophe, no clear breaking point, just repetition. The same mornings, the same distractions, the same self-talk. And repetition is dangerous because it feels harmless. It feels stable. But stability without direction slowly becomes regret. That's why time is the most honest mirror you'll ever face. It doesn't argue, it doesn't explain, it simply passes. And every day it asks the same question. Did you use me, or did you spend me? Most people don't waste time loudly. They waste it quietly, scrolling, delaying, planning, thinking. They confuse preparation with progress. They confuse insight with movement. And months later, they wonder why nothing changed, even though they were aware. This is the moment where clarity matters more than inspiration. Because inspiration fades, but clarity stays sharp. And the clarity is this: if you do today what you did yesterday, tomorrow will look exactly the same. The calendar will keep moving whether you do or not. And no future version of you is coming to save this moment. Discipline isn't about force. It's about refusal. Refusing to let comfort decide your future. Refusing to let delay disguise itself as patience. Refusing to let time slip by unnoticed. Change doesn't announce itself. It begins quietly, awkwardly, without confidence. It begins the moment you stop asking if there's still time and start acting as if time is already watching. So here's the truth. Without drama and without promise, there may still be time, but not for the version of you that keeps waiting. Not for the version that negotiates every decision. Not for the version that hopes clarity will arrive before action. Time rewards movement, not intention. And the question isn't whether this year can be different. The question is whether you're willing to be different before the year forces you to notice that it passed. Silence doesn't mean nothing is happening. Sometimes it means everything is being decided. And right now, in this quiet moment, you're either repeating your past and/or interrupting it. 6 minutes have already passed somewhere in the world while you're listening to this. Nothing dramatic happened. No alarms, no warnings, just time doing what it always does. Moving forward without asking if you're ready. That's how most lives drift off course, not through one bad decision, but through thousands of quiet moments where nothing was decided at all. You didn't choose to stay the same. You just didn't interrupt the pattern. And patterns are powerful because they feel safe. They feel familiar. Familiarity becomes comfort, and comfort slowly replaces ambition. The danger isn't failure. The danger is becoming efficient at postponing the life you know you should be building. If you're honest, you can feel the difference between intention and action. Intention feels light. Action feels heavy. Intention lets you imagine a better version of yourself without demanding anything today. Action demands payment now, in focus, effort, discomfort. That's why so many people love planning but resist starting. Planning feels productive without threatening identity. Starting forces you to confront who you really are when motivation disappears. And that's the part most people avoid. Not because they can't do it, but because doing it removes the excuse of someday. Once you act, you can't pretend anymore. There is a version of you that already knows this. The one that feels uneasy during quiet moments. The one that gets uncomfortable when routines repeat too cleanly. That discomfort isn't anxiety, it's awareness. It's the internal signal that time is passing faster than your decisions. Most people numb that signal with noise, content, entertainment, constant distraction. Not because they're lazy, but because silence demands honesty. And honesty demands responsibility. When everything goes quiet, there's no one left to blame. No trend, no algorithm, no external pressure, just you and the reality you're actively maintaining. Understand this clearly. Consistency doesn't require confidence. It requires identity. People who change stop asking, "How do I feel today?" and start asking, "Who am I becoming through this action?" Feelings fluctuate. Identity compounds. When your actions align with an identity, discipline becomes less emotional and more automatic. You don't need to feel ready to act. You need to act to feel aligned. That's why waiting for the perfect moment is a trap. The perfect moment never arrives because it's created after movement, not before it. Look back, not with regret, but with accuracy. How many times did you tell yourself there was still time? How many opportunities were delayed, not because they weren't important, but because they felt uncomfortable? Time doesn't punish hesitation immediately. It waits. It lets patterns solidify. It allows years to pass quietly until change feels harder than staying the same. That's why this moment matters. Not because it's dramatic, but because it's early. Early enough to interrupt repetition before it becomes identity. You don't need a complete plan. You don't need clarity about the entire future. You need one honest decision that breaks the loop. One action that proves to yourself that this year isn't being carried by habit. The smallest consistent action outperforms the loudest intention. Always. Because action has weight. It changes how you see yourself. And once self-perception shifts, behavior follows. This is how momentum begins. Quietly, imperfectly, without applause. So when you ask yourself if there's still time, listen carefully to the answer you already know. There is time. But only for those who move before certainty arrives. Time doesn't belong to the motivated. It belongs to the decisive. And right now, nothing is stopping you except the version of yourself that's grown comfortable waiting. The calendar won't change you. Silence won't push you. This moment won't repeat itself. What you do next doesn't need to be impressive. It needs to be real.